Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the final session of Reclaim Your Crown, the Imposter Syndrome Challenge. Today, we're preparing to step into our power in all areas of our lives. And I just want to check in so far, even if it's part of your one. How has the experience been for you so far? Drop that for me in the chat. Would love to kind of hear how it's been going. I'll keep rocking and rolling as you drop that there for me. Today is going to be just as awesome as all the other days. So I'm excited to deliver this today. I love it. It's been great. Let's go. Let's get it. So today we craft our action plan and we will help you figure out how to create goals and command your space. I love it. Yes. Oh, I love that it's been insightful and it's making you reflect on things. I think that's what life is about. If we're intentional, if not, we kind of just go through the motions and we're responding from Lord knows what, right? So it is good to think about what's going on and if we can reflect a little bit. So I'm glad some reflecting is happening for us. So you guys should know who I am already, but in case you don't know who I am, my name's Amanda. So hey y'all. I'm a mindset coach for Black and Brown women in business, psychotherapist, have a practice here in New York, have a great community. In addition to doing trainings, we speak, we consult, and really my passion is just curating spaces where we can empower each other and in a way that it's lasting. So not that we just have these momentary like come to Jesus moments, but really where the skills can like transcend into your actual life and spaces. So I'm glad that you've made it today. I'm glad for those of you that got through 1, 2, and now we're at 3. Congrats. Keep pushing through. Even if you're now jumping in, make sure that you get to the other 2. Even if you missed it, today will make sense because we'll review a little bit to put it together. So this is what we have covered in just 2 sessions, okay? We looked at imposter syndrome and that it's a lie, right? And it's the thief of your gifts, your purpose, and your abilities. Right? We know that more black and brown women experience this in more ways than we realize because we don't always share that we do. I feel like it's something we sort of struggle with silently. And often because we are the only ones in spaces, often because we are the only ones achieving at certain levels and doing certain things, and maybe in ways that no one else in our lives have done before. So it makes it harder to really let people know what we feel and what's happening, right? Welcome to those of you guys that's coming in. Let's see what else we did. We identify what it sounds like, right? The things like I'm not good enough. We named our masks, whether you're the soloist, whether you're the perfectionist, whether you're the expert. We examined the roots and our responses. We hit reset and found your crown through your strengths, right? Because this thing called imposter kind of disconnects you from who you are. We affirmed your power and incorporated a little bit of brain science to help you get back online. And we gave you a plan to keep this growth going. And y'all had some homework too to go from information to implementation and action. All right. And that was just 2 sessions. So drop an emoji if you're just proud of all the work that we've done. Drop a little something for me in the chat. It's been so good, even just for me to see just a level of community and vulnerability and shares in the room, right? And this prioritization of self that I'm willing to come and work on me, and like it was said, like work on me and look at me in different ways. What's up, my hype girl in the room? I love it. Y'all did a lot, so you should really applaud yourself. So well done, well done. So today's plan, this is our plan for the final session. We will do a quick breathing exercise to help us rock that crown of your strengths, your successes, your experiences, and your expertise. We'll revisit your goals without the fear, because now that we take imposter syndrome off the table, it opens us up to so much more. We'll talk about how we can take up space and sustain this version of you. And we'll really continue in this idea of like, we're really not the problem. It's everybody else. But how we respond, like that's our responsibility. Okay, and if you do each part of today, it'll give you a clear way to work on imposter syndrome when you are triggered, okay, when it does come up. Because the expectation is not that it's magically going to go away, but we want you to have a plan to know what to do with it. Sound good? Let me know if that's okay. I need one okay before I can continue. I'm gonna sip some tea while I wait for my okay. Yes. Okay, let's go. Y'all know I like my class participation. Okay. All right. So, girl, you are the crown. So, I want you to remember that, right? Everything that you bring to the table, even the things we can't see, the things that you've forgotten about, just because you forgot about it doesn't mean that it isn't there. You guys have some really great strengths, really great experiences and ideas. You are experts in the things that you do, and all of that makes up your most valuable self. And I want us to practice being in that posture of rocking that crown, right? So I'm actually going to go back to that meditation that we did yesterday so we can do it together, because it's also a great way to just get grounded and focused. We're coming into the room with lots of different things, whatever we're rushing from, whatever has happened for the day, whatever's happened for the week. But I want you to really settle into you and give yourself time to focus on you, because you deserve that. But we want your full attention. We don't want you to be all like distracted and thinking about all the things and all over the place. Okay. So let's get into that posture. So, who remembers the posture of the crown? How would you stand if you were carrying that crown? What does that posture look like? Am I slouched down? Am I kind of like, Am I leaning down? I can't even lean down because if I had it would go. Right now, so it takes a little bit of confidence, right? Like my posture is upright, but I'm not tense with it. I'm relaxed, right? So I want you to figure out that posture, and if you're sitting, figure out that posture. If you're standing, figure out that posture. Get your feet kind of grounded on the floor, and that's what we're going to be in, sort of this upright position. Okay, that's how I would stand if I was carrying my crown. And I'm going to ask you just to take a deep breath, right? And you can do this exercise with your eyes closed or eyes open. If your eyes are open, just sort of find a spot in front of you to look at, and otherwise just listen, okay? So I'm going to invite a big breath in through your nose, big breath in, let it go through your mouth. Good. And our out breath is always a little bit longer, almost like I'm blowing a ship down the water line there. So big breath in, let it go. Third breath in, we're going to raise our shoulders, big breath in, shoulders up to your ear, let it go, everything drops. Ooh. Feel that body settling. Good. As we continue with this meditation, remember the reasons to hold your posture of strength and confidence. And just continue to focus on those big, deep breaths, right? And we're going to count down to 5. And with each inhale, you're just going to pull in your strength. And with each exhale, you're going to push out doubt. So we're going to count down from 5, inhaling on 5, breathing in, drawing in that confidence. Good. Exhale, pushing out that fear. Good. Inhaling on 4, embracing your resilience. Exhaling, releasing the hesitation. Good. Inhaling on 3, absorbing that determination. Pull it in from the ground. Exhale, letting go of the uncertainty. Let that body drop. Whew. Feel that tummy just sink. Good. Inhaling on 2, filling up with purpose. And to take up every space, every lung space, every bit of your capacity. Exhaling, clearing out the second guessing. Finally, inhaling on 1, capturing your melanated brilliance. Good. Now exhale all the remaining doubts. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Beautiful. Just sit here for a moment. Oh, just notice how you feel. Notice how good it feels to wear your crown. Let that feeling of strength just kind of settle in. I want you to just remember that feeling. Anytime the doubt tries to come back, remember yourself in this moment, in the true essence of who you are. Good. One more big breath in. Let that go. Beautiful. Totally forgot to put the words up there, but there it is. So you can always come back to this, okay? Well done. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Hopefully there's been a little bit of a shift. Well, let me know how you're feeling. Yeah. As you do that, we're going to get into work. So imposter, we know, makes us play small. And now that we've done some of this work, we're going to really revisit where you've been shrinking. All right. So I'm going to ask you to just take a moment to think of the spaces that you occupy, right? Think about your work, your community, your personal relationships, your relationship to self. Think about all those roles, and in each area for this exercise, we can maybe pick one, and you can always come back to this and then look at a different area. But I want you to think about how you've been holding back. Mhm. Right? And because of imposter syndrome, right? Or the doubt, or because of the fear. If you don't want to call it imposter syndrome, that's fine. But we all experience doubt. We all experience fear. We all have this like hesitation or avoidance. Whatever you connect to, think about where it's been showing up and where it's been holding you back, right? In what areas do you see there's room for growth? So think about that for me. Put some thought to it, and then drop it in the chat for me. I know y'all like are in like total zen right now. But think about that one area. What might it be for you? And relationship to self can be things like, how are you taking care of yourself? So whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, even financially, right? Am I being good stewards of the things that I have? Am I getting my rest? Am I eating well? Am I stopping to use the bathroom? Right? Work and career, am I going after the promotions? Am I pursuing my goals or creating space for me to build out the things that I would like to do? Right? Community, do I need to be more involved? Do I need to be more connected? Personal relationships, right? Am I giving my best to my partner? Things like that. Have I been playing small in those areas and kind of pulling back, right? Am I pulling back from important conversations? Am I avoiding going to the gym because I'm too tired or whatever the case is? What have I been avoiding or pulling back from? All right. Y'all are quiet today. Uh-huh. Anything we want to drop? Or we just thinking and like ferociously taking notes? Because that's cool too. I'll take that too. All right, I'm gonna keep pushing. But remember, you have the chat space. So I want to keep us on time too. Thinking. Oh, I like the thinking space. I know. I wish I had time to like pause, but then this would go on forever. So but as you're thinking, jot things down. I love getting into the thinking space because I think even as you go back to this or you take some time right after it, things will start to click even more. So I love the thinking space. Did anything come up while we're thinking? Let me know if it comes up for you. What are the areas? And thinking is good too, because I think going back to the comment that was made earlier, I think a lot of times, we are on autopilot and we're really not thinking about how we're showing up, right? Or where we're not showing up, right? And the good thing about avoidance is it's so good that you don't always know that you're avoiding the thing. So thinking is good. Maybe I haven't had to think about it in a while. Maybe I've been avoiding thinking about it. Right? Oh, I love that, Bernice. Thank you. There's a few areas that I play small, going after promotions. Yeah. Oh, so powerful. Sometimes not speaking the truth because of that fear of rejection and judgment. Yeah. Sometimes this experience is about protecting us from those things, but it's like, oh, do I really need to be protected, or what does it mean if I stay in that lovely dance of avoiding? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that too. No, no, love the participation. So Bernice, because you're dropping gems, okay, I'm gonna add you to my list. So I'm gonna send you an audio book too, okay, Bernice? Congratulations. I don't have my lady here to say like you're a winner, but you're right. Listen, you're a winner. We're gonna show up and do the work. You're a winner, so I love that. I'm gonna add you to my list and send you something. Okay. Mhm. Chantel, using the restroom is crazy how much we push ourselves or skip eating in space of helping others. Yes. right? My big thing is always like, okay, like let me give it a few more minutes, right? Like I could hurry up and do this, but usually it's never that quick and it'll end up taking from something else, right? So that's something I try to be more mindful of, those spaces that I'm giving more time, especially to work, because it usually means I'm taking time for something else, right? Because it'll be, I could leave on time, let me do that one or two things, and then it's like 2, 3 hours later, right? Yeah. Yeah, good thoughts. Okay. You want to roll too, Chantel. So I'm gonna send you something to her. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Take your names. Bam. Right. So you're yeah, beautiful. And how much do we miss by ignoring ourselves? Yes. Yes. And how much harm do we cause to ourselves by ignoring ourselves too, right? By missing our own body cues and what's happening physically or in our own lives, right? Because instead of me being here, maybe I could have been somewhere else. I could have been in another area I'm avoiding, maybe connecting with friends, maybe going outside and like enjoying the day or being with family, things like that. Really good thinking and shares. Yep. All right. So let's keep that going. So now that you've really acknowledged those areas, I want you to work on reclaiming what's yours, right? But before we talk on the how, let me remind you of who you are. So I'm going to ask you to find that lovely hand emoji again, right? Or whether it is just dropping it in the whether it is just dropping it in the chat, that's cool too. I love that share again there. It's easier to focus on everyone else than face ourselves. Again, sometimes I think that's avoidance. I think it's two things. It's when we're really conditioned to be there for everybody else, which is cool, but we do have to like change that dynamic and really start to teach people more so like our kids coming up, how they can take care of themselves too. And that's okay. How do we create that balance, right? Great to support people, but it shouldn't always come at a cost to us. Sometimes there is sacrifice involved, but we don't want that to happen all the time, right? Um, other part to that, let's see, easy to focus on others. Yes, because then we don't have to look at us. We don't have to look at our needs and figure out how to create time and space for it. And it's easier to then justify why we're not taking care of our needs. Because I'm too tired, I'm too busy, I got to do X, I got to da, 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 da. That's why it's okay to run myself to the ground. But why is it okay to do that, girl? What would happen if you took back 5 minutes, 10 minutes? You know what I'm saying? Work it out. All right, so here we go. So let's look at who you are. So I want you to raise your hand if you've ever set a goal and achieved it beyond your expectations. Have you ever surprised yourself and done the thing? Good, okay. Here comes the next one. Beautiful. You've hesitated to set ambitious goals because you've doubted your ability. Anybody ever doubt themselves? Okay. Last one. You recognize how dope you are despite the doubts. Anybody have doubts but still know that they're pretty freaking awesome? Yeah. Yeah, and I want you to just recognize, though, that you have done some amazing things in the past. And even with the hesitations, even with the doubts, even with the fears, you still accomplished amazing things. Like, we don't expect all the doubt to go away. We don't expect all the fear to go away, right? We just want to be able to still do the thing, like take it along with you, right? Like, hey, I get it. You're here because you're worried about X, Y, and Z. You don't want me to mess up. You don't want me to fail, right? But we can do the thing. So I just want you to see that you have achieved beyond what you've expected. You have been able to achieve even with the doubt. Okay, so take that energy into what we're about to create. We want to create some goals in the areas that you guys have been shrinking in. Right, so take one of those areas, right? We talked about the work, career, community, personal relationships, self relationships. So now I want you to think about this woman who has been successful. What would she do, or what does she want to do in one of those areas? What do you want to achieve? So if you weren't holding yourself back, what would you do? Right, and I'm going to ask you to just throw this out there really quickly. So take a second and Ask yourself that, right? So if my area was community, what would I do if fear wasn't there and I wasn't holding myself back? If it was relationships, if it was choosing to get up and use the bathroom, what would be different? So take that area that we've been shrinking, ask yourself, if I wasn't holding back, what would I do? And I don't want you to overthink it. I just want you to throw some things out there. So just kind of like brainstorm out loud, right? Just let that pour out, because that bit of you has been quiet because it's been too afraid to think out loud about what I want to do, right? So get that out your system. Like take risks. Yeah. And then I would be really specific, like take risk in what areas, right? Like I would take the risk of, I don't know, taking a sick day a month. Like whatever it is, I would take the risk. And every time I see a promotion, if it was just slightly what I wanted to do, I would apply, even if I may not get it, right? I would take the risk and reach out to organizations and ask them if they needed a speaker on X, Y, and Z, even if it's like, I don't know if they would, right? So what is that risk? I'll take the risk and tell somebody, well, no, you need to watch the kids so I can go do X, Y, and Z. So once you've decided that, I want you to think about, well, how will I measure success in that area? So we want that new goal, right? So if it's risk, how am I going to measure success? So risk is really general. How can I get it to be more specific so I can have a like a milestone measure for me so that I know that I'm actually doing the thing, right? So consider what you want to achieve, consider what it would look like. How would you know that I was doing it? So maybe, I finally tackle this weight on my hips, honey. Hmm. Watch the kids part. Uh-huh. Yep. So if I'm gonna finally tackle that weight on my hips, okay, I'm gonna tell somebody they need to watch the kids, and I'm gonna try to get to the gym, maybe, whatever it is, like once for the week. So my measure of success would be I'm making it once a week, right? Maybe my measure of success is, you know what, like if I put all things aside and stop making excuses, I'm gonna start to pack my lunch so that I can eat a little bit healthier. And that's gonna help me with this goal of actually working on me and my body and feeling better physically, which I've been putting off because I'm running around doing all the things. I'm sitting all day trying to get everybody else's stuff done. And I know that I haven't been feeling good about myself, right? And that's my self relationship. So that would impact that area, right? And to bring this all home, you can think about what's the impact that would have on those around you. If I feel better, everybody else around me feels better too, right? So then when you have that, just add one little thing. What would my next step be? Right? So I know the area I want to work on. I know what it needs to look like, how I'm going to measure success. This is what I would be doing. I'd be going to the gym once a week. I know the impact. I would feel good. They would feel good. And now that you have that goal that's not driven by fear, but on your own wants, that can be achieved through your strengths. You guys called out some great things. I'm creative. I'm a leader. I can pull resources together. Like go back to those strengths. Those are the things that's going to help you in this space. And now I'm going to pull out my next one action step. My next one action step, you may need a couple, but we can break it down into action steps. Maybe I need to tell X they need to watch the kids so I can go. Second action step is I'm going to put meal prepping on my calendar. Maybe Sundays when I'm watching Bridgerton. I'm gonna watch them, damn near nudie scenes and make my lunch at the same time, right? Instead of just sitting on the couch, right? Watching TV, that's low energy, and I can get things together at the same time, right? So now we can really break things down into something that's more manageable. Ooh, look at this. I love big stretch goals. I would start a podcast related to new mothers and the struggles that we sometimes go through and don't speak about. I love it. Right? So that's me without fear. How would I know that I'm working towards that? What's my measure? I would have the podcast, right? But what else would I need, right? And that could be my steps. Maybe I need to buy the mic, right? Maybe I need to um, decide where I'm going to be, like what's my platform. Maybe I'm going to just find a friend and just practice interviewing her just to like get into the flow of things. And maybe that's my step. I create my channel. Look at that. Maybe I'm gonna go talk to my comrade in the room and we could talk about her channel and maybe she could be a guest on mine. I'll be a guest on her channel. Like, right? Like what? Like connect, make it work, but figure out what that step is. But I love to see you dreaming out loud about what is the thing that I want to do when I take this thing off the table. Okay. Now, the reality is, as you do the work of showing up for yourself and working on the things you want to, you may be triggered, right? And we know the triggers, right? Whether it's dealing with transition, change, whether it's public speaking, whether it's asking for help and not feeling incompetent in that space, right? You know your triggers. We did that as the earlier homework. So we want to be aware of it. And now that you're aware of it, now you can start to think about, okay, when I am triggered, what are some of the thoughts that come up for me, right? So I know as I start to work on this project with my podcast, ooh, imposter gonna show up. It's gonna make me think that I can't do this or I don't know enough. That's the sound of your imposter. Great, beautiful. But when it comes up, what I want you to start to do is to think about it as an alarm, right? Because we're going to look at it differently. It's not that I need to be triggered and afraid, it's that I need to be triggered and do something else. With all this new information that you guys now have about yourself and the impact of imposter syndrome and how it shows up, now you get to decide how I want to respond instead of just reacting and reacting in a way that protects you, that takes you out of conversations, out of opportunities, out of the room. Now we get to stay in the room and we get to work on the thing. So I'm going to feel some of the like pushback, but I'm going to get it. And I'm going to understand that, oh, this is that thing showing up for me. And you know what happens when it shows up for me? It blocks my crown. See this? The trigger blocking her crown. I can't get to who I am. I forget who I am. I get disconnected from who I am. But what I decide to do, my response is going to disarm that, right? And we started to learn about that in our second session as well. It's going to disarm that. And the affirmations that you use becomes that positive counter statement to start to disarm that. How you speak to yourself, what you say is going to start to disarm that. Because what you say is also reinforcing a new belief that you have about yourself. It's not that I'm not enough, it's that I'm fully capable. I just happen to be really nervous right now. Right? Like, one of my triggers is like taking risk, and this is it. So, oh, this alarm is just reminding me of that. Right. So let's look at an example. Again, we're triggered, it's blocking the crown. Right. So let's say my triggers during presentation in large spaces. It might sound like, can I really do this? But this is where we step back and recognize this is me in that pattern of fear and feeling like the imposter. So I need to wait, remember my crown. Go back to what's true for me. That's why I go back to those strengths. I go back to my experiences. I go back to all the things that got me to where I am in the first place. Okay, so whatever those things are, that's what's going to start to kick in for you now. And drop it for me in the chat. What are some of your strengths? I'm a leader, super creative. I love to chat. I'm a great interviewer. When I set my mind to things, I can figure it out. Put that for me in the chat. Because we want to remember those things. Those are your truths. And we want to use that to rewrite the sound that was there from the imposter. We're going to change that sound to that affirmation, right? And we're going to continue in that space because that's how we start to shift this core belief. Right. So instead, I'm going to come up with that statement that connects me back to my strengths, my gifts, and my expertise. And it doesn't keep me like lost in the space of like fear and that imposter space. I love this. It's like I'm up here in my head, but because I get to decide what I want and I recognize what's happening, I can ground myself in that new affirmation and remind myself of who I am and kind of bring me back online again. Right. So I'm a powerful speaker with valuable insights to share. Each word I speak resonates with clarity and purpose, and I am fully capable of engaging with my audience. And understand that I'm saying this in my crown position. I'm not saying it like this. I'm fully capable of fully, right? No, 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 no. Mm-mm. My presence brings value into the room. Does that make sense? So I had you do that homework to know your affirmations that really kind of speak to your triggers that come up to you. Hmm. So this is a good point in the chat. I say these things and then doubt settles in for me. I'm going to ask you to tune into a couple of things, right? I'm going to ask you to tune into how how am I saying it? Right? Because if I'm saying it in a place that I'm not really sure, that's going to be problematic. How often am I saying it? So we don't want to wait till I'm in the situation and I'm triggered. We actually want to practice, right? It's like any great athlete. I don't wait to competition day to go and train. I've been training, right? So I've been saying these things to me every day. And I've also been adding in the evidence, which is like your strengths, your experiences to back it up because it's going to reinforce it, right? So then when I get into the moment, it's going to start to be more believable for me, right? And it is a process, so I can understand why it still feels like in the moment, but how we strengthen it is we put it into practice and we start to notice what it's doing. And how we strengthen it is we really connect to the examples of where it came from in the first place. So like using the same example of like I get nervous with presentations, right? I still get nervous with presentations. Before this, like right before the time, like I've got butterflies in my stomach, right? But I know to myself, I'm a great speaker. I can deliver this. Like I can do this in a heartbeat, right? Is it still there? It's there for a second, and then once I get going, like boom, boom, bam, we on fire. Right? So again, I don't have to stay in that space of noticing how nervous I am or what's coming up. I know it's there because I'm going to present. It may not always be my most favorite thing. I love it, but I don't love it yet, right? So it still activates some things for me, but I also believe in my belief. I also want my belief to be stronger than that other experience, right? So I'm going to keep at it. And the more I keep at it and show you, every time I show up and I stand and I speak, it reinforces to myself, my brain, and what's happening brain body connection that we're okay. Let me know if that makes sense. Good shares. Okay, good shares. But y'all are getting it. So we're adding to your plan. You know your goals and you create them from a place of power and not fear. That's what we did as we're looking at the places of where have I been holding myself back. I'm asking you to be aware of your triggers so that they don't disconnect you from your power. Right? So whenever you have that surge of doubt or fear, it's like tripping the circuit breaker and you go offline. And we tend to stay in that space. We tend to feel bad. We tend to really ruminate on all the things I did or didn't do, and that keeps us there. But we're trying to know that that will happen sometimes, and we're trying to reframe that and affirm it from a posture of power so we can continue to just move a little faster, reconnect a little faster, hit reset a little faster, right? So to reinforce this even more, like I recommended, after you activate that affirmation, when you are triggered, another thing that you can do is to notice what changes you experience in your thoughts, your emotions, or actions. That's how we exist in this world. We think, we feel, we do. So this becomes like a bonus validation for you because if you acknowledge even just a little shifts, your mind makes note of that. And it's like, oh, this wasn't as scary. Oh, it didn't take us as long. Oh, you actually did the thing and you were all right. And that starts to develop more habits. Most times, even if we get through something, we don't take it all in enough, right? We're just ready to move on to the next thing. We're like, yes, I got through it, it's over. Instead of like, wait, like what just happened here? How do I feel? I feel pretty good. Like, ooh, you did that. So we've got to spend a little bit more time slowing down. You got to slow down to notice the triggers. You got to slow down to respond. You got to slow down to see how you feel. All right, good stuff. I'm going over my time. Good stuff. Whew, going over my time to pick up my pace, okay? Whew. So how are we going to sustain all this? Let me know how y'all doing. So we just want to think about who's going to be our supports to keep us online and in track. how are we going to hold myself accountable? Like I told you, one of the things that I do on my phone, my affirmations come up on my phone, right? So the things I need to remember, it's like scheduled out, right? I put myself in positions that will make me uncomfortable sometimes to practice too. All right. I still show up despite how I feel. So I want you to think about, how am I going to keep myself accountable? I think the piece most of us miss with our goals is the support and the sustainability really matter, because our mental noise can be so strong that we're fighting ourselves, and it's hard to get outside perspective that we're doing okay. And sometimes we really do need that, but you've got to be in the environment for that, right? To really, keep that crown in a very polished space. Let's see, I love it. Doing great. Yeah. Right. And unlearning takes time. I do want to reiterate that too. Right. It takes time and it takes encouragement. Right. If we've been doing this for years, it's going to take a minute to get us there. Right. And of course, y'all know, for me, it's about community. For me, it's about practicing consistency. And that's what we do in our collective. That's why that's there. That's why I developed it. And I hope you guys will consider coming into that community and doing that work there, because this is what we do on a regular basis. And because I know that it's not enough to just do the one thing, right? It's good to have awareness, but it takes time to put it together. It takes time to practice. It takes spaces like this where we can really get into it. And that's why that's there, right? You get your feedback. We put you on the hot seat because no, you don't get to hide in our community. So we really do like that elevated mindset work, and we do the work, and we continue to pour into you. So if you know consistency has been your thing, you need to be poured into, you love celebrating the next sis in the room, I think this may be a good space for you, but something you've been genuinely looking for, this is probably it, right? So I will leave those details for you guys as well. So you have that as a way to continue this work. Yeah, it's there. That is there. Just think about you. With less fear, less doubt, like plugged into the collective, it's great. I'm a therapist and I get it, right? And I think it's great to learn and have all of that. But I even see that with our clients that keep coming back. It's not necessarily that they need therapy, it's that they just don't have the environment to stay connected for things to keep going. Right. And that's why I ended up in this space creating this. And it's just my most favorite thing right now. And I think the best thing I think we'll ever do in my career, because it's a space to keep the momentum going. And we just don't all have that. I know I didn't have that. And I would have loved a space like this because I love to learn. I love to challenge myself. I love to keep growing. It's something I could do at my pace. I can tap into community when I need to. It's all of that. Right. So it's there. I think I'm just holding the door space open until the end of June. I'm not sure when we're going to do it again, because we're doing a lot of heavy lifting to add in some more resources and moving the platform to what's going to be our next level. So we're getting folks in now and doing what we have to do to keep building and shifting. So as we build and shift, it's not going to stay the same price, honey. Okay. So it's a good rate right now if this is what you want to do. And the good thing is, if you get in now, whatever rate you're in now, it stays that rate for the lifetime that you're with us. All right. So bringing this all home, reflecting on the journey, right? So I do want to take a moment to see where you are. We've really taken time to find your crown, given you the plan to challenge yourself when you're triggered, right? I can't say this enough. It'll take time, it'll take practice. But we looked at what it would look like if you dreamed without fear. What are the areas you've been neglecting? You guys have a way to continue that work, whether it's practicing yourself and continuing that unlearning, whether you come join us in the collective, right? But let me know, how are you feeling after this experience? Like, you have made it to the end of the Imposter Syndrome Challenge. I'm so proud of y'all. How are you feeling? Drop the feeling for me. Drop one of your takeaways. I know it's a lot coming at you, right? Um, Man, I went over the time, but yes, let me know how you're feeling. It's hard to condense everything. Yeah, good tips. Yep. Write them down somewhere, write what stands out to you so you can keep working on it. And that's my next question for you. What are you going to implement from this, right? Because I think studies show within like a week, whatever you don't use when you've learned something. So for all of us that love going to trainings and workshops and stuff like that, and we're like, yes, whatever you don't practice within that week, you absolutely lose, right? Your mind is like, oh, we don't need it, doesn't keep it. So I want you to think about what you want to actually work on, right? Like, can I leave with this one goal and start to practice it? Can I hold on to this affirmation and start to practice it and note how I feel and slow that process down? Do I need to create space for me? Think about what it is, even if it's like I can't hit everything I would have loved to do. What's the one or two or three things that I want to do? Right, and I do agree with you there that community is important. It's about having the right community and support too. Yeah. I'm always in my head. I'm consistently thinking how to apply it. You write it down and you decide today, this is what I'm going to do, right? Maybe my affirmation is about it's okay for me to do one thing at a time. I'm going to pick one thing and do it to the best of my ability every day. So even if I get to more things on my list, go team. If I just get to one thing and that was the best thing, right? Something I got out of my head and I did it, check and celebrate all of that. And it'll just continue to reinforce that it's okay for us to slow down and do the one thing, do the two things, and get to it. All right. So everyone, you are brilliant. Thank you so much for being on this experience with me. Like, whoo, I'm like excited. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So y'all know me. It's me, Amanda, right? And whenever you need to reach out, like please do reach out. Whether that's just reaching out to me on some kind of platform. I'm on most platforms as Amanda Fludd or Amanda.Fludd. If you got to this here, you'll probably find me. You guys are probably getting emails from me. Like, let's stay connected, even if now is not the time that you want to continue with us in the collective. You can certainly still stay connected and see what else we have going on. An absolute pleasure. I'm proud of everyone for being a part of this experience and making it till now. And I wish you nothing but the best. Go back, look at it, find what you need to do. And I know that everyone's going to be okay, whole and well. Right. So thank you so much for being a part of this.